All right, you guys, what's good? What's Gucci? It's Vlad Poppy here again, and I'm back at you with another video. So today I wanted to talk about the topic of reparations and give my couple, few cents, not even 2 cents. I'm like maybe like few cents, maybe like 25 cents or something like that. I don't know, but I'm going to give like my opinions on the whole reparations topic. I'm not new to it. I'm not going to give any background about it because at this point people should have already known about it. If you haven't, then you should do your damn homework, honestly. So, when it comes to the topic of reparations, it's been around for a while, but it recently got reignited with Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance, which, even though I was on the Drake side, it was pretty good, at least for like the latter part. And as you guys already know, he had the 40 acres and the mule, 40 acres and a mule saying on the back of his jacket, and there was a couple other references and stuff like that throughout the performance. Now, I'm not against the whole conversation of reparations. I'm actually very much for reparations, truly. As a Black American myself, I do believe that yes, there is a debt that needs to be paid, but do I believe the debt will actually come? Not exactly. So going off like just like the whole conversation of reparations, it's like I'm not as I already said before, I'm not against it. Um, the public conversation, I'm for it. Like for the most part, I'm with it. However, I think at certain points it gets very, very not touchy, but it gets very like I don't know, it gets very complicated. I'm part of the belief, as I said, before, I do agree reparations, but I don't ever really think it's going to become a thing. And I think at a certain point, the conversation just becomes, a constant circle jerk, or I'm not saying circle jerk, but more like just like intellectual masturbation combo. Like that's one of my favorite terms to use, intellectual masturbation. It's like, we can keep talking about it, we can get pumped up about it, but at the end of the day, is it really practical that is going to happen? Is it practical, like in a morality sense and a historic sense of like what was promised to the enslaved Black people during that time and after the Civil War and stuff like that? Yes, I'm like that is totally valid, but I don't believe in a social sense, in a social economic sense, it'll ever happen. I'm not like I'm not some extremist. I don't really be with the extra shit, personally. Like excuse my language, but I'm just very, upfront about things, and I tend to be very raw and unfiltered like when I explain stuff. But like, I'm not with all the extreme shit. However, I don't believe in any certain like any way at all that like America even gives a damn or even sees Black people as worthy of receiving reparations, regardless of what we have been through. I am I'm from the new school. I'm only 29, so I'm not some old head. Hopefully not. Hopefully I ain't giving me unk status already. But I'm not some old head to where I you know I like I don't have an understanding of like the world around me, and I'm very understanding of like race relations and like just exactly the whole idea of America and race. And just from what I've seen in my 29 years, living through the Black Lives Matter movement, I was coming out of high school and at the height of that. I saw America's reaction to Black people. Now, whether people agree with the stances, just notable cases, Mike Brown, Eric Garner, and Trayvon Martin, that doesn't really matter. But I've seen America. I've seen what America is capable of. I've seen what America thinks about Black people. I don't ever see them at one point at all, no matter how many generations are born and pass and go on, that there will ever be a change in the overall mentality in the way Black people are seen. I don't ever think that would change. I know that sounds kind of doomerish or like, oh, you don't think people can ever change? No, I think people can definitely change. And people can change about certain things. Like, yeah, I may not, like freaking watermelon one day. Next, couple of years from now, I may like it. I do like watermelon, by the way, but still, like, I'm using like just you just different examples. Oh, I may not like this movie. A couple years from now, I'm like, damn, this might be a really good. Like, I might be like, this is actually a really good movie. People change about stuff like that. But when it comes to things that people see as existential to them, and to a certain degree, a good populace of white Americans, other groups of people see black people's empowerment as an existential thing to them, why would we ever get reparations? I'm sorry, stuttering. But why in the hell would we ever get reparations? Why do we think the same people who just helped elect Donald Trump, and Elon Musk and freaking JD Vance are going to one day be like, you know what? You're an American just like me. I'm so sorry about the past and stuff like that. I think we should definitely pay this debt too. That's not happening. You're going to have your John Browns and stuff like that, people who are actual supporters of black people, not on some brown nosing type of stuff, but like actual supporters, and understand our plight to a certain degree, and support you know our demands for justice and things like that. But overall, that's not going to be the case for the majority of the population. And as of right now, whites have majority of the power. I don't want to hear this stuff about Indians and Chinese, and no, like right now, the majority power is held by whites. It is what it is. That's why this whole election happened. Like, we're not going to play games with that. These people are not going to one day just grow a heart and be like, you know what? I'm sorry for what happened to your ancestors. I'm sorry what happened to your grandparents. I'm sorry what happened to you. No, they're not going to care. And at a certain point, like as I'm saying, and I already said before, like the conversation around reparations gets very, it's just a revolving circle. It doesn't really go anywhere. You have all these people who can do all these calculations, like, oh, the U.S. government owes us 11 million billion trillion dollars. We got to demand that. How are we going to demand that? We don't have an army. We don't have any freaking, military force or militia force or whatever to even make any extreme demands. I'm also part of the belief that, to a certain degree, black people have exercised, like we have withdrawn, ran our credit card to the max when it comes to social capital. And I heard this a couple months ago by Aaron Magruder, the creator of the Boondocks. And he was having this conversation with somebody on the phone. And he was all like, I'm not trying to be on the respectability politics thing, and me neither. But I do believe to a certain degree, groups of people can wear out their social currency. And we have, to a certain degree, worn out our social currency. Everybody doesn't want to hear about your grandfather being a slave. Nobody cares about your grandparents being sharecroppers, or having to be moved off the block because the white neighborhood didn't want them there. Like, yes, do I care, or other black people care? Yes, that's very valid to us. Those are real experiences to us. But guess what? Everybody's not going to care about your experience, no matter how many times you tell it to them, no matter how many movies you make, no matter how many times you tell them that you've been brutalized. To a certain degree, those people are going to eventually start looking down on you. This whole idea that you can appeal to somebody who looks who whether they be white or any other race. And that's not a video that's singling out white people, by the way. So I don't want you guys to think this is, this is all white people. This is your fault. No, but you can't expect people to eventually, see your point of view and then one day be like, you know what, you're right. Let's give this, whatever, however the hell it would happen. Let's give this cash lump sum to you or whatever, for your trouble. Here's stuff for your trouble. It's just not going to happen. And also, at the end of the day, we are still begging the powers that be, the people who put their boot on us, to give us help. We're still begging the quote unquote white man. Go, oh, Mr. White Man, please, please. If you just give me this reparations check, we gonna get it together. We gonna fix up our communities. We gonna fix up our neighborhoods. All that. Please, Mr. White Man, you just give me this reparations check. I promise you, I'm gonna get it together. That's what this conversation basically comes to. Oh, Mr. White Man, you hurt my granddaddy. You stole from my granddaddy. And guess what he's gonna be like? Okay, and what are you gonna do about it? That's basically what it is. Appealing to your enemy's emotions has never worked, and that's what Black people want to keep on doing. We want to forget the radical tradition and the beliefs that we had before and soften ourselves up for what we think it can be. It's just not going to happen. MLK learned the hard way. I'm not going to say Malcolm learned the hard way because I don't think he necessarily felt that way. But, we've learned the hard way in many different instances. I'm not saying we pull off some freaking coup d'etat or some revolution, but what I'm saying is reparations are not coming. So we need to find a different hole. I mean, not a different hole. Let me stop. We need to find like a different strategy going forward. We need to find different things to focus on that will be beneficial. Education, jobs, stuff like that. And yes, I know things are getting very hard now with Trump and them in office. But I'm going to always say, if we have been through slavery, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, all that stuff. We can survive a Trump in Elon Musk presidency. I'm not even going to say JD Vance. We can survive a Trump Elon Musk presidency. We can come out on top. We are survivors. We are innovators. I know people are going to be like, oh, but IIQ and Indians and Chinese, like, okay, cool, whatever. To a certain degree, I agree with IQ, not the whole, extra racial stuff that they be doing to us, things like that. But, I understand IQ and things like that, whatever, cool. But that's not an excuse. We are survivors. We survived one of the most horrific events in history. I don't care about everyone else's stuff. I'm talking about us. We can survive a Trump and Elon Musk presidency. We can survive anything at this point, except nuclear war. We can hell. We might be able to survive that. I'm always believe in the power of African Americans and believe that we are much more, or Black Americans. However you want to say. Don't attack me, FBA, ADOS. We have the power to do these things. We don't have to, even though you may not see it that way, we don't have to beg for a handout. We don't have to beg for a promise that was never given to us because we come from better. We are capable of better. I agree with, to a certain degree, FBA, ADOS, and their ideology, but I'm not with all the other extra shit about, being anti-African, being anti, Caribbean and other Black diasporians. I understand to a certain degree with the whole, freaking delineation or establishing boundaries, but I don't agree with all the extra stuff. But yeah, I'll agree with, Black Americans and our claim to this country. However, even though we do have a claim, that claim is not something that we just wanted ourselves. When people say that, oh, yes, Black people, we built this country. Yes, we did. But it's not like we were in the back rooms making the decisions. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, DC was built by a Black man. Okay, that's cool. But he was an exception to the rule at the time. Most of your ancestors were not in that situation. We're not going to play that game. All right? They were not the aristocrat Blacks. They were not the Blacks that had such status that they were helping presidents, things like that. Like, let's not do that. But at the end of the day, yes, we do have that claim to America. But I always say this, and I'm going to say, and this goes for anyone in this world. And however you want to go about your claim for justice, it is. It is what it is. That's your choice. I'm always say this for anyone. You cannot expect the people who kicked your ass at one point to put on band-aids and ointment next. You cannot expect the person that burned down your house to help you build it up. That is a rule throughout history. And until Black people understand that, the whole conversation on reparations is gonna keep on happening. And once again, we deserve it, but it's just not happening. And that is just a cold, hard reality of America for your ass. And I am so sorry that, I had to say those type of things, but it is what it is. I'm not trying to be edgy, but I'm being very real because I don't like to play games and talk in dreams and aspirations. Racial justice is not a dream or aspiration, it's a reality. And the way that, if you think that you're going to get it is by appealing and, softening yourself down or, begging, it's just not going to happen. I'm like, hey, if we get reparations one day, then goddamn, I was wrong. I was wrong and I will eat crow or whatever. But until then, I'm going to stand on my stoop. It is what it is. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning into this video. I'm going to be making more. I know it's been a very, very, very long time. Uh, Having the motivation to make videos, I did not realize is actually a lot harder, especially when you're, going through things, stuff like that in your personal life. I'm not going to get into that stuff right now. Nothing crazy is going on. I'm not like in a life threatening crisis or something like that. But, there's just days I just be like, I'm just not into it. But thank you guys for tuning into this video. And again, peace out.